And we are live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Netcruzer RC. Doing another live stream from the car, and we'll give it a couple minutes for a couple people to join in. I'm going to try and do this pretty quick because it's actually a winter storm has just started. It's snowing pretty aggressively out, and I want to make sure that we do this pretty quick so I can get home before the roads get too crazy. But I just went for another uh, visit to my great local hobby shop, Great Hobbies, and I picked up a couple things that I needed to finish off the TLR 22 5.0 Elite. As I've been working on that car over the past week, I've realized that there was a couple things I need to finish it, and my local hobby shop had that stuff, so it's good to support your local hobby shop. So I went in and picked up yet more stuff that I needed. So I did this last week thinking I was done, but of course you're never done. You keep working on it, and then you realize that, oh, there's stuff I needed that I didn't have. So we're going to go through this bag. I'll show you what I bought from the hobby shop this week. More random stuff, as well as I'll probably give you a quick little update about some of the stuff I bought last week. First of all, being last week, I bought that Reefs hex driver set. I have been using it all week long. They are nice, but they say on them magnetic hex driver, and the tips are not magnetic. So I don't get what that's about. I will make a video about that soon, showing them, like it says clearly on them, magnetic, and I don't get any magnet out of them. So I don't know if I got a defect or if it's kind of weird advertising. Maybe it means the base is magnetic, but I've tested magnet on either side. These are on the Reefs hex drivers that I showed last week in my other video, which is called What Did I Buy from the Hobby Shop, with that same similar kind of thumbnail. So if you're curious about those hex drivers, go take a look at them. Quality wise, they seem really good, but yeah, they're not magnetic. So maybe I got duds. I don't know. It's easy to magnetize tool sets. All you have to do is buy a little neodymium magnet, and then you can kind of scrape the hex drivers on them. Someone just said, even Michael says, I'm building the 22 5.0 AC. What all hex drivers do I need? You need the standard metric set, so 1.5 mil, 2 mil, 2.5 mil, and then there's little itty bitty screws that go in the little hinge pin blocks, and for that you need a 1.3 mil, but if you don't have a 1.3 mil, you can get away with an SAE 050 hex wrench. So those are the four that you need. I don't think you need a 3 mil to build that whole car, but I'm not sure. In the book where you have it, it should list out somewhere in that book the sizes that you need, but those are the ones I'm aware of. 1.5, 1.3, 1.5, 2.0, 2.5 at the minimum. And then some turnbuckle wrenches and a shock tool is really helpful when you go to build the full shock set. All right, guys, so we got 9 people watching. 2 thumbs up. Thank you very much. Yeah, thumbs up really help get the video out there, as well as live stream support, super chat, and super stickers. In my whole history of my channel, I've not yet had one super chat style thing. So welcome. You're welcome to be the first one. Really helps out with the channel to pay for equipment and race fees. So that's great. All right, so let's get into this. It'll be again a random order. Sensor cable. Now, I didn't necessarily need this, but I needed it to make it a clean job. So this is from my local hobby shop, Team Great Hobbies products. It's a sensor cable. This is for brushless motors. Just makes them smoother, so it connects your motor to your ESC. And I have a really long one. I have really short ones and really long ones. So this one is 150 millimeters. It just seems like the perfect length, because on the car I'm building, you have to go from the motor, which is on the very back, to the ESC, which is nearly on the very front. So you have to span across the whole chassis. And all the cables that I had were either way too long or way too short. So this one should be just make it for a tidier job. Again, another Great Hobbies product. These are bullet connectors, 4 mil bullets that have a little 90-degree solder point on the top. This is for doing direct connect battery leads, which are good for racing. So I usually race with 4 mil bullets. Some people race with 5 mil bullets, which are better. The bigger connectors have less resistance and whatnot, but almost all my batteries are 4 mil. So that's what these are for. And I just needed them to solder up the 2 wires that I need to go to the battery off of the ESC. I have a Tekin ESC I'm going to solder up, and I have enough wiring to do it. I just didn't have the bullet connectors to connect to the battery. So for racing cars, I use direct connect bullets instead of any kind of a connector. So on my racing cars, I don't use Deans or Traxxas or XC90 or EC5 or any of that stuff, I use direct connect bullets, just because that's a better, less resistance type of connection. But you have to be careful about them because you can reverse polarity and blow up your ESC. So be careful about that. Then to do the gearing on the new car, which is the TLR 22 5.0 Elite, I needed some gears, trying to calculate the final drive ratio that I need for the track. According to the book, I am planning to do a stock class of racing, which is 17.5 motor. And for that, they recommend a 72 tooth spur, which it comes with. And they recommend a 25 tooth pinion. And then if you do the calculation through the transmission ratio, which on the case of that car is a 2.42 to 1. So you take your spur gear, divide that by your pinion, times it by the transmission ratio, which is 2.42 to 1, and that will give you your FDR. Every car has a different transmission ratio, so you have to know that ahead of time. It'll be in the book, or Google it about what the transmission ratio is for your RC, and that's how you calculate the final drive ratio. So in the case of the buggy that I'm building, the book wanted a 72 divided by 25, which times that by the transmission ratio came out to a 6.96 FDR, which seemed pretty, I'm not sure if that's high or low, but that number seemed too high to me. So I asked around some other local racers what FDR they were using at the track, and seems like around a 6 to a 6.5. Some people were running like 6.2, 6.3. So I decided that I would get some pinions that would help me get in that kind of good ratio. So these ones are from Robinson Racing. The car that I'm building is a 48 pitch. So I got a 25, which is the ratio that they suggest in the book, and I got a 28, which is the ratio that I think would be ideal, which would be a 6.24 if I do a 72 tooth spur and a 28 tooth pinion. So these are Robinson Racing products. These are just kind of bog standard, nothing special, 48 pitch racing gears. I know my camera doesn't really focus that well on them, but yep. So two additional pinions, and I have a whole bunch of other 48 tooth pinions at home. So I've got 26, 27s. I just didn't have the two sizes I wanted to try, of course. Out of all the things I have, I don't have that. As well as I recently have been working on my Granite 4x4, which I had blown up the transmission assembly on that. Well, not the transmission. I blew up the spur gear, completely destroyed the spur gear, and I chipped a bunch of teeth off the pinion. So I needed to pick up some replacement pinions. Traxxas pinions are actually pretty cheap, and if you buy them in the X variant, they are hardened steel. So these are like $5 a pop. So I got two 15 tooth replacement pinions in 32 pitch gears, and that'll work on my Granite 4x4 as well as a future project where I'm resurrecting my Slash 4x4. So I got some additional pinions. These are both the exact same size pinions. I just got two of them. Oh, Jamin, thank you very much. First ever super chat. Thank you very much. Appreciate it a lot, buddy. Thank you. You now go down in history as the first ever super chat on Netcruzer. Two more things. When you're racing stock racing with buggies, active cooling is a good thing because you're going to push that 17.5 motor to the limit. So it's good to have some extra cooling on it. So I did buy a cooling fan. On on-road cars, I've used Wild Turbo fans, and my local hobby shop didn't have any Wild Turbo fans in stock, but they had this brand, which I've never used before, APS Racing, and I did buy the most fancy one they had just because I'm building an elite class race car that has a bunch of nice black and silver aluminum on it, and I think that's why this fan was extra expensive, because check out how nice that is. This is a billet aluminum cooling fan, and this will be just attached onto the chassis, blowing air against the motor. This one is a turbo variant. It blows at 28,000 RPM. 28K RPM. That's a lot of speed. And then the cabling didn't seem long enough, because that's not going to reach all the way from the back of the car all the way to the front where the receiver is. So I needed to get a servo extension, again from my local hobby shop's house brand, Great Hobbies. So that's a servo lead extension, so I can make this longer. And I did see someone ask in the chat there if this is going to be a weekly thing. It's not. I just happened to go 2 weeks in a row to my hobby shop because I didn't write down all the stuff I needed the first time. So the paint and the tools and stuff I got last week wasn't enough to finish it. So this hopefully should. Although I did have to also order a bunch of stuff online for things like tires and wheels, and in the proper kind of wheels and tires and compounds that I want to try on the track. So that stuff's coming in, and I'll show that when it arrives in a couple weeks. But this stuff, this basic stuff, the wiring, the bullet connectors, the fan, the extension lead should be enough for me to finally finish that car. Now I just have to put the labor into it. Which Great Hobbies did I go to? Great Hobbies in Ottawa, Ontario is the one that I went to. And then the last thing was some of the employees there are allowed to sell things of their own. Great Hobbies in general doesn't do consignment. Like I cannot take a used RC in there and sell it, but the employees can. So some of the employees sell equipment, and I spotted this guy under the shelf. I was like, hey, what's that motor? This is a fairly large can. This is a fairly big 8-scale motor, 2250 kV. It's by Sky RC. It's a Taurus rocket, and it's censored. And so it was listed for 50 bucks. I offered him 40 cash, sold. Only ever been used once in an Arma Limitless, and then he decided to go for a Tekin so he could push it to 8S on a lower kV. So this is a 2250 kV, almost the exact. This is essentially the same thing you get in any of the Arma 6S vehicles. The difference being it's censored, so it will allow a smoother rollout. Now, the initial ESC that I plan on putting into the Arma Limitless is not going to be censored to start out, but I will be using that system that I've showed previously to start out, and then eventually I'll put in this. Or the other thing is, I've been for the past 6 or 7 months been planning to resurrect my Slash 4x4 as a 6S Slash 4x4. Kind of crazy, but I have a Mamba X already in it, and I was going to put in a motor. Right now I have a Castle Creations 4600 kV motor earmarked for it. That will likely top out at 3S. I really won't want to push it past that. If I want to run 6S in the Slash 4x4, I'm going to need a motor like this. So it's good for me. It was a really good pickup. Build quality seems really nice, and I like the look of it. So yeah, and that's it. Bag's empty. So just a couple of parts this week. Still looking for metal yokes for my Slash Ultimate. If you mean the drive axles, I've decided to go with Techno RC makes a whole axle kit, and I will be doing that. I have those parts, but it's just a lot of labor involved to swap them over because they recommend that you do not run the RPM A-arms with the Techno axles. Sorry if I said Tekin earlier. I meant there's a Techno axle set for the Slash 4x4. Look into it. It comes with new hubs, new axles, new bearings. It's a whole kit, which gives you finally metal outdrives for your axles. Really, there's only 2 companies that I know of that make them that are good quality, and that's Techno and MIP. There's a bunch of other, Integy and other Chinese. What's that other brand? There's a Chinese brand that makes a lot of metal parts that are really cheap too. Anyway, yeah, I plan on putting Techno axles in that Slash 4x4. So eventually, this will probably be like summer. I'm putting not much effort into that Slash 4x4. It's been a back burner project for a long time, but it'll be a cool one when it's done because I've got a plan of how it's going to look. It's going to be like a resto mod style. It's going to look completely different than what it looked before and be way more powerful. So those are the things that I got from the hobby shop. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks guys for watching along, and I'm gonna get going here. I just went to the grocery store and got a bunch of stuff. I got to get home before it gets too snowy out. Here's a quick little view of where we are. Thanks to Kettleman's Bagels for having excellent Wi-Fi. That's how I do these live streams because you may not know this, but my internet home is pretty terrible. It's country, it's country speed, so I only have 10 down, 1 up. It's not really enough to do live streams. I can barely join in on those kind of group hangouts sometimes. Can't really host my own. So this is really my only chance that I can come out and get like a good, nice live stream without chewing up all my cell phone data. Because cell phones actually have really good upload speed. I could be using my LTE signal, but sitting right here using their Wi-Fi, and I do buy stuff from there. It's a great little shop. They make all their own bagels, by the way. If you live in the Ottawa area, there's a couple of those Kettlemans. I'm not sure if they're in Ontario. as well. But anyway, yeah, Kettleman's Bagels in Ottawa Train Yards has amazing Wi-Fi. It's like 50 down, 50 up. Yeah, we're getting a lot of snow. I have to get home now before it gets too bad. So overnight, we're expected to get 20 to 30 centimeters of snow, and it's just starting now. So I'm in kind of eastern Ontario, so the like Toronto already got hit today. Now it'll blow in. It's just starting to get to Ottawa area now. And if any of you live out in, probably you saw on the news that Newfoundland last night got 70 centimeters of snow. I don't know what that converts to for feet, but that's ridiculous. That's the most snow I've ever heard of falling in one night. Anyway, I got to get going. Thank you very much for joining, everyone. If you can, hit that like button before you go. If you want to talk to me, leave a comment down below. After the stream ends, you can add regular comments. It'll live forever if you didn't get a chance to ask something during the live chat. And as always, thanks for watching. Coming up soon, when I get home, I'll probably want to edit up a couple of race videos that I took this week. I have a two-wheel drive buggy race A main, and I have my own four-wheel drive main like I did last week. Basically a mirror of what I did last week, a two-wheel drive main, and then my four-wheel drive video. I'll try and get that done again. Hopefully get those videos out over the weekend into early next week. And then next week, I really don't have anything pre-recorded. I have to get out there. I tried to do a bash today on that granite 4x4 that I had just repaired. I had totally rebuilt the slipper assembly on it, but the pinion was too damaged. It just wouldn't go. So I've got those new pinions now to fix that up properly, and then we can go out and bash with the granite 4x4 on 3S again. I'm excited to get that out there, but we'll see how much snow we get. I'm probably going to spend all day tomorrow shoveling. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. Take care.